Shout out to all of you who are still here. Today, we have a brother from another mother who, in his own words, can't take living in the United States anymore. Now, traditionally, I would say, why, dude? Because you fit the demographic of men, or just people, who the United States was made for, even in this day and age. But given recent events, recent economic activity, recent actions by the government, the elites, and the people, I'm becoming a bit more sympathetic of anyone who cannot take living in the U.S. anymore. But let's see what this guy has to say.
Sometimes I just feel like it's time to give up on this country. I mean, it is just being ripped apart every day. The people are divided more and more. The cost of everything is getting higher and higher. And it doesn't really feel like there's anything to save at this point except for nostalgia, things from the past. Because the truth is, the best days of our country are behind us. Whatever the future is going to be in this country is going to be a long time from now, because all we know is that just prolonged chaos is what's ahead of us. Because the question has to be asked now, who even are we as a country? Can you even tell me what an American is? Can you even tell me what it is to be an American? This country means nothing anymore. Like I said, the America that we knew is a memory. When we think of what America is, we're talking about the past. A past that's usually created because it never actually existed. The idea of America's greatness is an idea only in our heads, because the history of our country is so marred with brutality, both on people from abroad and people in our country. There's no time of plenty. There were times that were easier, sure, but where was this great time where all Americans thrived?
Someone's waking up. Somebody's waking up. For all of you who watch my channel and might think that a certain group of people, regardless, if they are of one skin tone, they must be on the side of America. Buck yeah. We can do no wrong. It's those other people. Trump is right. MAGA. This is the unspoken part of America. These are the guys who more than voted for Kamala, but they voted for the couch because they saw that neither side is going to deliver for them. And these guys, I suggest, are the silent majority who see America for what it is, and in some cases for it's always has been to certain groups of people, and now that same America is coming for them.
Everything was good, where we were a nation at peace, because in my lifetime, I can't remember a time that we were truly in peace. We're always involved in something somewhere. And in the vast majority of my adult life, over 20 years, our country was at war. Our country was getting involved in other people's...
Okay, so this guy is, he said over 20 years, so he's in his 20s. Are you in your 20s? Anyway, yeah, I absolutely agree with him. I can say that there were times where there was an illusion of peace in the 90s, but ever since the 2000s, the illusion has not been there. And for all of you who think that there has been a time of peace, yeah, even during the 2016 to 2019, where it was the closest that I felt that we were to the 90s, we were still in Iraq, we were still in Afghanistan, technically. And yeah, so we were really never at peace per se. Maybe there were just more peaceful periods internally, domestically, but yeah, he's absolutely right.
Problems. Our country played the bully and played the policeman. And you just have to be tired of it at some point. You just have to ask yourself, is this what represents me? Is this who I am? Because the fact is no. And is it who represents you? No, it's not. Most Americans are tired of this. Most Americans want nothing to do with this. Most Americans, deep down, as much as there might be some kind of pride about this country, absolutely understand that it's kind of the villain at this point. I know a lot of people out there understand that, yeah, Americans, they are pretty much the bad guys. They blow everybody up. Yeah, but for a lot of Americans, there's this deep veil
I'm
of
laughing because
denial
there's some
that
truth to
comes
that.
through a lifetime of indoctrination. This idea that we are the greatest country on the planet, this idea that Americans themselves have some kind of special power that other people don't have in this world. The fact is, most of us are just completely spoiled and entitled. We don't produce anymore. We don't create. All we do is consume. All we do is consume and pollute any kind of goodness in this world because our culture is what? What comes out of Hollywood? What comes out of the movies? Our politics?
Huh.
The only real export that America has now is really bad movies and military adventurism. That's all it is.
And hate, and hate and division. I mean, let's be honest. That's yeah, Hollywood, and that's our best. And look, we don't even produce good Hollywood movies. We don't even have really actors like that anymore. And our celebrities, well, our musicians are even worse. We are at a all-time low when it comes to musicians. I don't care. Rock's dead, so there's that right there. Rock is dead, and then you have trap, which I mean, you want to talk about a weapon that has been successful, making Black Americans look as bad overseas as they do in the States. It's that trap music, and I don't care what Passport Bros or any of these schmoes say. Your culture is not helping us overseas. It is not helping our reputation overseas. And I'll challenge any passport bro to that. Fortunately, the one thing that hasn't gotten through, but then again, I mean, I guess seeing the conditions that we have overseas with the immigration stuff, that doesn't, I mean, you guess you really don't need it, but it's this sister banging, Walmart parking lot, racial dog whistling country music. That hasn't gotten through outside the States, but I mean, considering the fact that you have all these anti-immigration stance, whether they're justified or not, I mean, do you really need to push that abroad? Anyway.
Who are we as a country? What defines us as a country? What's our history now? I feel like it's been so long since we've been the storied America of the past that even if you have a beautiful view of what our country was, how long ago was it since we actually felt that representation of what we think America is was reality? Because it just wasn't in my lifetime. Can I say that the culture in the 80s and the 90s were a lot better than today? Absolutely. Of course,
sir.
it was a time before social media. It was a time before cell phones. You know, people actually lived lives. But
Yes,
still,
sir.
the way that the corporations worked, the way that the government worked, it was moving the people, it was hurrying them along into a decaying economic structure that would inevitably place the people of America into a position of chattel slavery. That's all we are.
And he makes a point. Even in the 80s and 90s, which I argue were probably the peak moments of American civilization for the most amount of people, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of sexual orientation, regardless of immigration status. Like, I think the most amount of Americans, percentage-wise, enjoyed or were the closest to seeing and living the American dream. Now, for those who dealt with deindustrialization in the Midwest, they may argue a different point, and that's fair. But I'm talking about most of America in general. Yeah. But even then, we saw what happened during those eras that allowed us to see the reckoning that we're experiencing today. NAFTA, for starters, deindustrialization, as I stated before. And this isn't a partisan thing. I mean, the deindustrialization and the debunking and destroying of labor unions, you can thank Reagan for that. The war on drugs, which has brought us this drug-induced society that we have today, you can thank Reagan for that again. The the spending, the excess debt that we have, you can thank Reagan for that again. Oh, well, he was fighting the Cold War. The Cold War was on its last legs. It was being relevant anyway. Half of the USSR wanted to join the EU anyway, and we're seeing that happening as we speak. So here's that. And to think that this is a leftist channel, what about NAFTA? Who did NAFTA? Who did the three strikes? Who did the deregulation of the telecommunication companies and the cell phone companies? Who broke up all these? Well, I guess the Ma Bell, I guess that was a good thing. But anyway, for the rest of the stuff, Yeah, that was done by Slick Willie Clinton. So this isn't a partisan thing. Both sides have had their hands in the cookie jar of taking cookies from all of us Americans
Where cows meant to be milked
and giving it to corporations.
for profit,
Oh,
but we're not actually of any purpose anymore. Like I said, what do we create? If you look at our cities, what cities are we actually proud of in the United States? Where are the new buildings? Where are the new roads? Where are the new towns? America is decaying.
and I want to emphasize this. That's someone who's been overseas. Lived in Japan, lived in Germany, traveled around Asia, Europe, and, well, on the Asian side, because Europe, they have just as many new cities as we do. But on the Asian side, there are so many new cities right now. And the cities that they've already built, it looks like they just built half their buildings in the last 5 years. It is no joke. Even where I lived in a place that I only dreamed about beforehand. I live in the Tokyo region, just to mind you, but the city I lived in, I could live there for the rest of my life if I was Japanese, because yeah, that's one of the subjects for another day. But yeah, if I was Japanese or was a master of Japanese and knew what social circles to really get into, I could live there for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't mind it because of just the modernity and the infrastructure. And I talked to a lot of Japanese people who just, it shamed me. It perplexed me, particularly when it came to the women, who they glamorize places like Europe, which, I mean, you want to talk about a place that hasn't built anything, or has built less than us. It's that. I'm sorry. But yeah, they glamorize Europe. I think it's a mix of the movies and the men that they glamorize. But if I was able to speak to them and fluently in Japanese, I would tell each and every one of these individuals who had a low self-esteem about their country and themselves, look at what country you have. Look at the infrastructure you have. Look at the buildings that you had. And no, 80 years ago, none of this was here. We aren't going to go into the details why, but none of this was, barely any of these things were here. You had to rebuild from the ground zero, from the ground up. And you built marvelous civilizations. And it's not just in Japan. You go to Taiwan, you see the same thing. You go to the People's Republic of China, you see the same thing, especially in the past 20 years. You go to Korea, same thing for the most part. You go to at least the major cities in Southeast Asia, same thing. What have we built in comparison? Garbage. Rubbish, as the Europeans like to say.
It is a festering, rotting body, and the people have been feeding off of it to survive for a long time, and most of us are getting food poisoning at this point.
Funny enough, you mentioned that. Food poisoning. I come back here, and a few weeks ago, probably a month ago, I got hit up with food poisoning by just eating the same stuff I usually eat. Never happened to me, definitely when I was in Asia. Didn't even happen to me when I was in Europe. But yeah, we are getting fed food poisoning figuratively and now literally because standards have gone down. What happened to RFK Jr. and his Make America Healthy Again initiative? What happened to that?
We can't stomach another taste. But what can we do? Is there anywhere else in this world that we can go where we can escape America? No, because America is everywhere. Because our culture has reached every part of the world. The worst parts of Americans have leaked into every other culture that even if I go to a place where I don't meet another American, I can still meet people who are Americanized.
And that's sort of true. Mainly when it comes to the feminism. I'm not talking about women's rights. That's all cool. I'm talking about the feminism. The man-hating, misandrous feminism. I'm talking about the machismo, stepping on the next man in order to get over. That so-called, or what we call capitalism, when in reality it's just corporatism and just dude-bro nepotism. See that? And also you got tribalism, aka racism, especially anti-black racism. I hate to say it, it's exactly like that. You know, in these countries we're hating blacks before the U.S. became a superpower. I hate to say it. People were minding their business when it came to blacks. They were like, oh yeah, it's a token dude from Africa or whatever. But now, especially with this American culture. Yeah, there was one point where we were seen as elite, but I think that was a mistake, and Hollywood does not want to repeat that mistake again. They don't want to have a Michael Jordan and a Michael Jackson and a freaking, what is it, a Will Smith, pre-simp Will Smith, up there being the face of black man. They don't want a Michael B. Jordan. Not internationally. He can do that shtick here, but not internationally. We don't need Denzel Washington being black male patriarch internationally. We don't need that shit. That's what Hollywood said. Now, you get Slim Thug and Young Thug and Fetty Wap and Little all this all the WAP you want, but you don't get the positive image. Yeah, American culture has spread, and not the good parts either. Not even the few good things that we have, like what I'm watching right now with college football.
I think it's one of the great sadnesses of the modern age is that our culture, our vampiric culture, has leached the originality out of so many other cultures and created nothing but a corrupted landscape of corporate billboards. That's what America is now. America is the corporation. America is Citizens United. America is not the people. And it doesn't matter what people those are. It doesn't matter if they're white, if they're black, if they're Hispanic, if they're Native American, if they're Asian. It doesn't matter. There is no real Americans anymore because to be an American is only participate in the American economic system. That's all it is. This place is trash. This place means nothing. And it's tragic because so many people throughout generations have given their life to bring America to where it is today, but this isn't what we were promised. Dying people on battlefields who were promised that their families would be led into a better time were deceived. The oaths that people made to them were broken, and the people have been led back to an economic plantation. America is a broken state, and the people deserve more. Although a lot of people out there would say that, no, Americans don't actually deserve more because this is exactly what they voted for. I think the fact...
That's a good point, and I'm somewhat on that side. This is what America voted for. This is what America wanted, and if you didn't want it, why didn't we get politicians like Ron Paul at least to election night? Or, hell, if you want to go on the left, Bernie Sanders. Why didn't we get individuals like that on the election ballot for election night? Where were these people who wanted real change? Where were these people who wanted real outsiders? At least in the 90s, you got, Ralph Nader. Was it Ralph Nader? The third party in 1992, that dude. Maybe it was Nader. Bush, Clinton, and... Yeah, maybe it was Nader. Anyway, what happened to the third party individuals who actually spoke the real truth? They weren't afraid to call out and to roast both sides. Huh?
Americans have lived for so long under the illusion that they are something that they're not. We are rapidly beginning to understand the lie that has been told to us. The pill of bullshit that we were force-fed when we were kids has been rejected from our bodies. I am so glad that I've spent so much time out of this country, and it's freed my mind from kind of that Americanized concept of self, because it's an incredibly selfish concept that we all have. Because America is a nation of individuals, yes, but the worship of individualism is cancerous to community. And community is all we have as people. Because when governments are gone, when the economy collapses, it's community is all that we have. It's the tribe, it's the clan, it's all that we have. Your political party means nothing when there's no food at the grocery stores. Who's running for president in the next term doesn't matter when you can't feed your kids. And what conflicts are happening on the other side of the world mean nothing if you can't afford to put a roof over your head. This country has turned against the American people. This country has left the American people behind, and for what? For corporate profit? To soothe the egos of billionaires and oligarchs? To give in to nepotism? To coddle the authoritative minds of technocrats? This country isn't for Americans anymore. This country is for anyone except Americans. It's for anyone except humans. This nation is a place that has completely lost its humanity.
Or has it ever had its humanity?
And that's reality. That's reality, because to live a life in America as just a normal, average human being is one of absolute depression at this point. Because look around you, what do you have? You have yourself and you have your family, and that's it. But the supplies and resources in this country are dwindling and getting more expensive day by day. And how long is it before people are not just at each other's throats on the internets, but at each other's throats in real life? Blaming
Oh yeah, I think we passed that moment.
real world problems and real world scarcity on their neighbors, on their friends, on their family members. How long until the kind of inevitable conflict that we've been creeping towards actually meets us? Because it's going to be in our generation. It's not going to be 10, 20, 30 years from now. It is right around the corner. And this idea that if just normal American people sit in silence and don't say anything and don't upset anybody and don't actually voice their opinions, that everything will just blow over, times will get better, and things will be fine. And I'll get that American dream one day. But that American dream has been stolen from you, wrapped up and given away to a corporate lobbyist.
And he's speaking to white Americans. White Americans, that dream has been stolen from you. And for that matter, Hispanics, Latinos, Asians, Indians, Middle Easterners, that dream has been stolen from you as well. Now, natives and blacks, that dream has almost never been for you. And I'm just going to say it like that, is almost never been for you. Now, that was never stolen from you because you never had it to begin with. Now, the other groups, yeah, it was stolen from them.
It's exactly where the American dream went. It's not for the American people anymore. Who are we as Americans, and where do we stand in this world right now? Because we are lost people in a broken nation, and we have no direction, no solidarity. And this is the world that we're in right now. Find solidarity and build community. Become more self-sufficient. The hard days are rapidly approaching, and we all have to be prepared for them. Because any kind of reliance on government assistance is not going to be there. Rental assistance is about to go, right? WIC, EBT, food programs for the needy, those are about to go. The abolishment of any kind of social institution or protection program that it keeps the most vulnerable people in this country from destitution and homelessness are being seen as leeching programs that do nothing good for the United States. And they're right. It doesn't do anything good for the United States. But it does do good for the American people. And like I said, the American people in the United States, they've had a divorce, and it's been one-sided. And they've left us all behind. So if you're still here at this point, like and subscribe. Think about becoming a member.
Shout out to him. Go ahead and check his channel, Large Man Abroad. I'll scroll down. I'll have the links below. But yeah, this guy definitely brings a damn good point about everything. And the only thing I can counter to his point is that America has been stolen from us overall. If you had any sort of economic prosperity, or if your parents had any sort of economic prosperity, it has been stolen. My only counter to that is, yes, a lot of us brought it upon ourselves. And a lot of us as Americans brought it upon ourselves because we were too busy looking at, judging, and fighting each other. And shout out to this man who took the high road to realize what time it was and whose fault, for the most part, it really belongs to. Who to really pin the fault on. Because he could have went in the typical, stereotypical white male direction of blaming the others. Whoever those others may be, depending on his political view. Whoever the others may be. Usually, if you see a white male like this, you're going to think he's at the right, and he's going to blame the left, and the left undid this, and it's the LGBTs, and it's the immigrants, and especially the BBC, who is breathing up all of our air, and that's the reason why we don't have factory jobs and six-figure paying positions, and why minimum wage hasn't kept up with inflation. But no, he took the smart direction. He took the mature analysis. He took the time. Even if he didn't have a lot of numbers, he took more of an astute analysis than the typical American of any race, to be honest. So we need to give credit where credit is due. And he made a real poignant point about what has America been. What cities are we really proud of these days? even 20 years ago, we could have we have a few cities that we could be proud of. Yeah, we have some other cities that are growing. I can think of only one city that's really growing in the way that the rest of the world is growing. That's Austin, Texas. Now I'm going to say that city because that is the only city that I'm really seeing some sort of development in, other than public transit or lack thereof. Which they're building some light rails. Cool story, bro. But let's be honest. I mean, who's going to take light? Public transit is for commuting. If you want to make profitable public transit, you make it so that it's faster than traffic. And you know how to do that? You build trains above traffic or below traffic, not on ground, not at grade level. In any case, to the cities that, and all the people who are watching, all the people who are overseas, if you think that European cities are that great, especially to a lot of these women who think that European cities are the bee's knees because of what you saw in the movie or whatever white guy you want to get with, white celebrity you want to get with, then I ask you again, I will look to you and I would take these glasses off and I will say, what do you have to be ashamed of? Look at your cities and look at the development that has happened throughout the past 10, 15, 20, even 30 years. Even if your economy has been flatlined for the past 30 years because of the Plaza Accords. You all have way more to be proud of than someone like myself and than a so-called American. You don't have to like us, but God damn it, treat your men a lot better. These declining birth rates, there are no excuses for it. Especially with seeing what your men built. Get out of here. Get out with that white worship crap. You know which continent I'm talking about, too. Anyway, but back to America. I think a lot of these guys and gals, they know what they're doing. And the politicians are a reflection of them, including the one we have in office. And the last one we had in office for that. And the one before that and before that. I think a lot of these politicians are a reflection of the people. And we're just getting what we asked for, which are culture wars. Instead of fighting the real wars that need to be fought, or doing the real work that needs to be done, we just want to fight on a little culture war and culture battles. My daddy, your say. They're talking about my side. My side's better. Oh my goodness. You all sound like pussies. You all sound like pansies. You all sound like maggots. Something rhymes with maggots too, but we aren't going there. Because a lot of you just... I have more respect if you came through with some... I'll kick your ass. I'll kick your ass. Like it's a Saturday morning cartoon show or like it's a pregame tailgate at some college football or NFL game. I have a bit more respect for that. But you all come with some pussy ass mindsets. Talking about, he talking about my president. He needs to be canceled. He talking about my hero. He needs to be fired. Or he talked about such and such. He can't about women this and LGBT that and they cancel. Because you won't do it yourself? Or is it because that you all voted for the exact bullshit that we're in right now? Shout out to this man once again. This channel is for guys like him, regardless of race. Gals like him, regardless of race. Hell, non-binary people, like, regardless of race. I don't play culture war, and that's the reason why this channel is probably going to struggle. And why I'm probably not going to have people watch this channel this much. Especially with a 30-minute video. Yeah, we're approaching 30. I'm not going to let you all sit 30 minutes. Anyway, but in any case, this is for the people who are base. This is for the people who would rather vote for Ron Paul or Bernie Sanders than any of these mainstream politicians. This channel is for people who, hell, sat on the couch. Or would rather sit on the couch and vote for a Trump or a Harris or a Biden or an Obama. Or, hell, even a Bush, a Reagan, a Clinton, or a J.D. Vance, or even an AOC to a certain degree. We'll see how what you do. Anyway, everyone else out there, let's take heed to what this guy said. and let's start getting our heads out of our asses and finally realize what time it really is. Everyone else out there, always bet on X.